It's time to put the good in your morning. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, Kansas moves to phase 2 of vaccine distribution.
While the warmer temperatures stay below us, we're still going to have a delightful end of the work week and a great beginning of a weekend. However, changes are on the horizon for the end of January, the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And why a local school district is considering adopting a 4-day school week. KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 starts now. Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. President Biden releases a 198-page plan to manage and fight the coronavirus. The new president signed 10 executive orders yesterday to fight the coronavirus. One of them invokes the Defense Production Act to increase the supply of PPE, tests, and vaccines. Another executive order mandates the use of masks in airports and on planes, trains, and intercity buses. As part of his first day in office, President Joe Biden revoked the cross-border permit for the Keystone XL oil pipeline, effectively stopping its development. U.S. Senator from Missouri James Lankford issued a statement against the order. It says in part, limiting access to an oil pipeline kills jobs and limits our energy supply. Kicking people who work in the energy sector on day one may help progressive politics, but in Oklahoma, we know our jobs and livelihoods are next. Supporters of the move say it will help in the battle against climate change and limit destruction of Native American land. 7 Senate Democrats have filed an ethics complaint against Senators Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz. They're calling for the Ethics Committee to investigate the two Republicans for their actions leading up to and on January 6th, the day of the Capitol insurrection. Hawley and Cruz objected to the Electoral College votes. The Democrats want to see how that may have contributed to inciting the violence. They also want the committee to investigate whether the two senators or members of their offices were in contact with organizers of the rally, knew about the plans for it, or received funding from organizations or donors that also funded the rally. Hawley called the complaint a, quote, flagrant abuse of the Senate ethics process. Thousands of National Guardsmen have been moved to a parking garage after they were told they could no longer use space within the U.S. Capitol complex as a rest area. Prior to Thursday morning, several areas throughout the Capitol complex were designated as authorized rest areas where members of the Guard could take breaks from their shifts protecting the Capitol. But by Thursday morning, all of those areas had been cleared out and their designations removed. The National Guard Bureau said the troop relocation was temporary because Congress is in session. Missouri Governor Mike Parson says he will activate the Missouri National Guard to help with vaccine distribution across the state. Governor Parson says the state will establish mass vaccination sites with a team assigned to each of Missouri's 9 highway patrol regions. Each team will have the capability to administer as many as 2,500 doses per day. And 1 million more Kansans are eligible to receive coronavirus vaccines as the state moves to phase 2 of its vaccine distribution. Phase 2 will be handled by county health departments across the state. Wilson, Cherokee, and Neosho counties are either scheduling appointments or creating waiting lists. Health officials ask that residents stay patient because the vaccine is still limited, so appointments will be too.
Eventually, we'll get enough vaccine to be able to vaccinate whoever wants to be vaccinated. And we hope that happens sooner rather than later. But until then, we are doing our absolute best to find the most at risk and the most exposed and get them first.
And we've put more information on how to schedule a vaccine appointment on the vaccine page on our website. That's at koamnewsnow.com/vaccine. Missouri's COVID-19 vaccination map shows only a handful of locations where folks can get vaccinated, but the health department administrator in Newton County, Missouri says that's about to change. Newton County Health Department head Larry Bergner says the reason many sites do not have the vaccines yet is because they don't have the means to store the Pfizer vaccine, which requires extremely cold temperatures. It's easier to store the Moderna vaccine, which is what many sites will soon be receiving. Several Southeast Kansas law enforcement agencies team up to find and arrest suspect in multiple crimes, including shootings in Coffeyville and Independence. Authorities say they found Benjamin Whittaker overnight in Yates Center after an air and ground search. Whittaker was released on furlough by a Montgomery County judge to attend his grandmother's funeral, but he never came back. Authorities also say Whittaker stole money from an ATM in Parsons while he was furloughed. He's now in the Woodson County Jail. We'll talk about a sweet job. The Candy Funhouse in Mississauga, Ontario is Mississauga. Okay, Mississauga. It's looking for candyologists.
It's by Toronto.
It's a fancy title, candyologist, for someone willing to get paid for eating thousands of confectionery products. Sign me up. Position pays $30 per hour and is available for full-timers or on a permanent contract basis. Those interested in applying can do so until February 15th. These candyologists will help the company pick the products that will be part of the inaugural Candy Funhouse branded candy line. Why can't they need to send it here and let us in the 4 states try it out, because they need to see how different climate, different regions enjoy the candy too, not just up in Canada.
All right, so what's the, I was changing batteries there. What's the deal? What do you get to do?
They're looking for candyologists.
You just get to
You're
eat
just
candy
a
all
candy
day?
tester.
That's what you do? You eat candy all day? I'm not a big sweet person, but like I think oh my God, if you were just like, Michael, I need you to eat Reese's Pieces, I need you to eat Reese's all day long, I'd be like, I can judge that.
Did you just make a fast break over to the
I did.
TV monitor?
I did. I saw what you did there. So running.
Sorry.
So we got to let everybody in on the joke. Whenever if I make a morning run to the gas station or anything, Tanya asked me to bring her back the fast break.
Reese's,
yeah. The fast
Sometimes I
break
don't
Reese's.
even ask.
Yeah, and so yes, that was making the fast break over there. You do love those things.
Oh my gosh,
They're good.
I can't. I used to be able to, but I can't eat the really big ones anymore. I can only eat the smaller ones. It's just too much. Like,
why don't you put it in the fridge and keep it? I don't know. That's what I do with our candy at the house. I put it in a.
I have.
You're right. I
have children.
I got you. It's not going to be there when you get to it. I understand what you're saying.
And then they'd be jealous that Mama's getting candy and they're not. So
that's why I just wait for my kids to put it in the fridge and then it mysteriously disappears. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe Dad got hungry.
We are not the parents that eat their children's Halloween candy ever. We just the day after Halloween or the night of Halloween when we get back to the house, we perform the role of candyologist. As any responsible parent would do, you have to test at least one of every kind.
And I'm sorry, people, I'm not like, I don't want you to think like, oh, I'm being inconsiderate here. The 7 day, it's going to be sunny in mid-40s today. And quite frankly, it's more fun to watch her blush about eating her kids' candy. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
There's apparently a lot of uncertainty about the COVID-19 vaccine. The Kaiser Family Foundation reports roughly 60% of Americans are not sure where or when they can get a shot. Researchers say the respondents felt frustrated, confused, and angry about the situation. This comes as the Biden administration hopes to have 100 million vaccine shots given within the president's first 100 days. These findings are based on more than 1,500 people interviewed between January 11th and the 18th. A St. Louis doctor is caring for hospitalized COVID patients from his living room. Ali Corey explains how he makes it happen.
I'm able to access patient medical records, including their laboratory tests and the notes by the doctors and nurses and respiratory therapists.
Every day since the pandemic began, Dr. Stephen Brown logs on to this hub in his living room to monitor critical care patients at hospitals across the country.
I'm taking care of about 100 people a night, mostly on ventilators, mostly with COVID. Half of them are younger than me.
Brown is 65 and is an attending physician with Mercy's Virtual Care Center. He estimates he's treated well over 1,000 patients in the last 10 months.
One time we had 4 die within an hour.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
It's difficult. And I get teary sometimes. It's my time to step up to help others when these tragedies occur.
He's in constant communication with respiratory therapists, nurses, and doctors on site, monitoring patient heart rates and oxygen saturation levels, studying x-rays, and when needed, he can remote in to the ICUs.
All my experience the past 40 years has prepared me for this pandemic, including working in New York City during the AIDS epidemic in the 80s.
But still, he says he is not the hero.
The heroes are the people who are staying home, who are doing the best they can to wear their masks and to distance. Those are the people who are really the heroes that are going to bring this pandemic to an end.
Freeman Health System celebrates providing more than 200 transcatheter aortic valve replacements, or TAVR surgeries. The minimally invasive procedure is used for heart patients who cannot risk open heart surgery. Officials say it requires a team of surgeons and represents a milestone for the hospital.
We think the people in our region deserve the latest evidence-based treatment that's available in our world. So we work very, very hard to have cutting-edge treatments that you wouldn't typically find in a region our size.
Officials say the procedure takes an average of 45 minutes to 2 hours and is done under general anesthesia. How many elk can you spot? Check out this amazing footage captured by wildlife officials over Colorado. Biologists took flight to survey elk herd populations following a massive wildfire in Larimer County. This fire raged from August to September. Fortunately, experts say the devastation doesn't appear to have impacted herds, which are being tracked in part using GPS collar technology. Well, okay, so in case you're still trying to count, I'm just going to go ahead and skip to the answer. One biologist classified roughly 4,200 elk during the single 7-hour flight.
That's amazing. That is, oh my gosh. That's crazy.
That's a lot of elk.
I think it's one of those things because I don't see them every day. And so I see like that many together. And I think that's too cool. That's too cool. And you just said like the wildfires didn't really affect
Did they say what direction they
eating
were running?
habits or anything? Say what?
I mean, they said they were just running away from the wildfire, I assume, but I wonder if they
I don't know because
No,
I thought about that. I don't know. I don't know if they were just exercising. And look, I'm not a zoologist, okay? I don't know if they were just on the run. I don't know.
Well, it said they were running because of the wildfires. They were on the
Well,
move.
I was also thinking if you got a helicopter over your head, and I'm a wild animal,
It kept them moving.
right?
Well,
I'm
and they're following the leader of the leader of the herd too.
I may
so.
not be comfortable with this situation with this thing going dun, 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 over my head. So maybe I take off for that.
What is the sound of 4,000 elk?
I just
running.
did a terrible helicopter noise, and now you're asking me what 4,000 elk
Well,
sound
and
like.
it got me to thinking, do you think they can actually hear the helicopter over their own movement?
Oh, you could hear it.
Because their movement is like so loud because it's 4,000 elk moving at once.
I guarantee this. Do you remember the movie Stand By Me?
Yes.
Okay. Remember when he puts his hand on the train track? And he looks up and he just goes, "Run!" I bet you, if you were on the other side of that mountain right there, and you were just sitting on the ground having a picnic, and you heard that, you would look at your significant other and just go, "Run!" Wow. Mid-40s, sunshine. KOAMnewsnow.com, Instapoll, and Facebook coming back after this. It's a Friday. We're having a good time. New survey finds many Americans turn to social media when it comes to finding news. And that's the subject of this morning's KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Instapoll. Where do you get your news from is what we're asking. Rob Getz says, KOAM for my local unbiased news. Great job, guys. Then Newsmax and One America News. Rob, I'm going to come back and follow yours up here in a second. Julia Yaren, she says never watch it. Anna Pond says watch you guys as well as CNN. Didn't like cable Fox News that Trump was so fond of because, well, honestly, Republican news station, but sorry, thrilled Trump is gone. She does go on to say that I found them to be not truthful when you make an excuse for someone that should be setting an example like a good president, unlike Trump, not being mean, but honest. No, and I appreciate everybody's engagement. Also, too, one thing that I pointed out during the KOAM morning news before we flipped over here to Fox 14, I don't want anybody to think this is a self-serving question, but also, too, I want you to know that your engagement and your compliments that we've gotten through Facebook, know that we take them to heart. Know that it means the world to us. The kind word, for those of you that have kind, and for those of you that don't have kind words, know that we take those to heart too, and we appreciate it. I want to hear both sides, and like I said, I just appreciate everybody taking part in it. As far as our Insta poll goes, 56% of you say television is your main source of news right now. 28% say websites. I found it very curious. Social media, radio, magazines, newspapers. While I knew those would be distant down the line, single digits. That was a little bit surprising that they all fell in single digits. All right, let's transition. I want to talk about the Seneca, Missouri School District because they're considering a 4-day school week, and Tanya's got the latest on that.
That's right. The main reason for considering this change to help the students. The change would extend the school day by about 30 minutes, giving more time to help students in areas they may struggle with. School districts sent out a survey to parents to see how they might feel, and results showed a majority are either in favor of the proposed change or just didn't care.
Because I was really expecting it to be about 50-50, 50% of the people for it, 50% of the people against it. But the survey results, we were more along the lines of about 70% were either strongly for it, or, you know what, 5-day, 4-day, it doesn't matter to me.
A committee will meet to develop a 4- and 5-day school calendar, which will be presented to the school board February 15. Fort Scott, Kansas residents have wanted a local place to get groceries for a while now, and a new general store just opened. It's called the Star Emporium Downtown General Store. The owner says he wants to provide budget brands as well as locally sourced produce.
This was an exciting project for downtown Fort Scott. There's a ton of stuff going on, development going on in downtown Fort Scott, and we're so excited to be part of the energy, the growth, the little boom that's going on down here in Fort Scott.
The store took around 60 days to build and opened on Monday. There's a whiteboard inside where customers can request new items. It's an annual tradition at the Fort Scott National Cemetery, the placing of fresh holiday wreaths on every site. Employees of Peerless in Fort Scott, also a major sponsor of the KOAM Toy Box, spent yesterday at the cemetery to help clean and preserve the national site that contained more than 6,000 wreaths over the holiday season. To make sure they observe social distancing, Peerless employees worked in shifts all day long, partnering with the Fort Scott School District to help preserve the memory of those who have served our country. We'll be right back with the opening of a new hospital in Monette, Missouri. Today, a new Cox Hospital will open in Monette, Missouri, replacing the old one, which was built in 1953. Construction began on the new $42 million hospital in May of 2019. Joe Hickman has more.
Located on the eastern edge of town, right as you enter the Monette city limits, the new Cox Health Hospital is the culmination of 17 years of efforts to replace the old facility, which was built back in 1953.
Medicine has changed dramatically since those days.
And so has the world changed since construction began in May of 2019, as it's not easy to build a new hospital during a pandemic.
We did have our workforce get sick, which caused some delays, but also we had businesses closed down. Businesses we were relying on to get equipment here in time closed, and that caused some delays.
But the 100,000 square foot facility is now 3 days away from opening, with increased technology and better amenities, including emergency care, surgery, radiology, and a unique baby delivery area known as the LDRP room.
That's where you labor, deliver, recover, and postpartum without having to leave your room.
The baby really will never need to leave mom's site now. We can do all vaccinations, bathing, weighing, caring, right there with mom. And that's something I've never seen in another hospital.
The hospital's 25 inpatient beds are the same number as the old hospital.
We are critical access. Critical access is a federal designation, and part of that designation means that you cannot have any more than 25 inpatient beds. What it allows us to do is to grow on the outpatient side.
And Cox Health is doing that by moving all 3 of their primary care clinics to this new facility, where 35,000 outpatients will be served in one place.
And for patients, it means we're in a central location where they have direct access to the hospital. You know, if they need to be admitted, we are on campus. So we don't have to drive across town or check in at our clinic and then check in somewhere else.
A new hospital in a rural town is a rarity these days, as many smaller hospitals have closed their doors. This facility was made possible because of community support and the affiliation with a bigger provider.
If we were a standalone hospital, we wouldn't be able to do that. That's my number one message across the state and honestly across the country. If you value your local health care, you need to use them.
Reporting from Monette, I'm Joe Hickman.
Officials also say the building is constructed in such a way that expansion can be done easily in the future if needed. Another half hour of news and weather just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, the Kansas City T-Bones will return to the Diamond with a new team name, how it's paying homage to baseball history. And we'll break down how the Biden administration plans to handle the economic crisis. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Let's take a look at today's top stories. 1 million more Kansans are eligible to receive coronavirus vaccines as the state moves to phase 2 of vaccine distribution. Now, phase 2 will be handled by county health departments across the state. Wilson, Cherokee, and Neosho counties are either scheduling appointments or creating waiting lists. Health officials ask that residents stay patient because vaccine is still limited, so appointments will be 2. We've lost 13 more people to COVID-19 just in Joplin and Jasper County alone. The health department yesterday said the death toll in the city jumped by 7 to 112. Elsewhere in the county, it jumped by 6 to 119. That's a total of 231 lives lost to COVID just in Joplin and Jasper County. 13 men and women added to the death toll ranged in age from 50 years old to their 80s. To get update COVID information from other area communities, you can click on the link at KOAMnewsnow.com. Missouri's COVID-19 vaccination map shows only a handful of locations where folks can get vaccinated, but the health department administrator in Newton County, Missouri says that's about to change. Newton County Health Department head Larry Bergner has been responding to hundreds of emails from folks wondering when and where they can get vaccinated. And he's got an answer.
Many providers were able to order vaccine this week. Yesterday, Wednesday, we actually made an order. And so we anticipate that we'll be getting that vaccine hopefully next week, if not the week after.
Bergner says the reason many sites do not have vaccines yet is because they don't have the means to store the Pfizer vaccine, which requires extremely cold temperatures. It's easier to store the Moderna vaccine, which is what many sites will soon be receiving. A medical cannabis bill will be introduced to the Kansas Legislature this session. The House State and Federal Affairs Committee are working with the Kansas Cannabis Business Association to negotiate the language in the bill before it's brought to a vote. Kansas remains the only state in the 4-state area where medical marijuana has not been legalized. In the UK, dozens of nursing home residents were evacuated after floodwaters ravaged a retirement village in England. Heavy rainfall from Storm Christoph prompted many rivers across England and Wales to hit dangerously high levels. Crews used inflatable boats to rescue nursing home residents inside Weaver Court Care Home. More than 200 flood warnings remain in place across England. Local forecasters warn more rain is on the way in the coming days.
Yeah, and Tanya, what we can do with our infrared satellite here is, I was not familiar with the nursing home being evacuated, but what story I was paying attention to yesterday was this Storm Christoph, as they call it. Well, it's actually affecting northern Wales, and that's going to be in this area right up here. And you can tell they got more rain on the way. That's where they're putting COVID-19 vaccine into vials. the AstraZeneca vaccine. So we had the fire in India, and now we've got the rain affecting the factory up here where it's going into the vials. And like I said, it's kind of, Mother Nature's not helping us when it comes to this. But no, I was not familiar with the nursing home story though. And so now we'll transition back across the globe, run down to the 4 states here where we've got actually clear skies on the Skywatch Storm Tracker to start our Friday. Absolutely going to be a perfect end of the work week and great beginning of our weekend. 31 degrees from the Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Joplin. Do have a wind chill of 25, so it's a little bit chilly when you walk outside. 34 in Miami, 29 in Chanute, and 31 in Carthage as well. And the reason we're getting the chillier temperatures from yesterday, wind has shifted, working in from the northeast right now, but still at the same point in time. Average high this time of year, 45. Look at this, right on par. Saturday is going to be delightful as well, close to 50 degrees. Now, Saturday night, that's when we see some rain emerge from the south and sets us up for number one, a rainy Sunday, and on the backside of that cold front, a chance for snow by the time we get to Wednesday. Be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll asking, where do you get most of your news from? And I want everybody to know this is not self-serving. It's actually coming off of a Pew Research Center survey where 53% of Americans say they get their news at least sometimes from social media. Gary Wolfenbarger says KOAM for local news and weather, and then shut off the TV. There's only trash on out there. Matt Kelly says if it's national/political news, podcasts. They don't pretend to be objective or unbiased. And Alicia Sherman Parrish says, get mine local news from KOAM TV, but the world news media, very biased and push you to follow their beliefs, and I refuse to watch it. And too much negative social media, such as Facebook. So Alicia says, turn it off. Appreciate everybody's engagement this morning. As far as our Insta poll goes right now, 57% say television, 26% say websites, and single digits for social media, radio, magazines, and newspapers. Japan's prime minister is determined to hold a safe and secure Olympics after reports the government concluded the games were to be canceled. Prime Minister Suga spoke during a press conference on Friday, calling the Olympics a symbol of humanity and overcoming the coronavirus. Japanese government's leading a series of meetings for COVID-19, countermeasures and implementing thorough precautions to be able to hold the games. Tokyo 2020 also released a statement Friday. Now, earlier, the Times of London reported that the government privately concluded the Olympics will have to be canceled, citing an unnamed source. It's not a certainty right now, but Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes is trending toward being available for Sunday's AFC Championship game against the Bills. Mahomes limited at practice yesterday, but did take a majority of the starter reps. This is all according to head coach Andy Reid. He's been in the concussion protocol since suffering an injury last weekend and still in the concussion protocol along with corner Bashad Breeland. But they were both out there yesterday. Once again, this looks like a game time decision.
Listen, they all got good work in, and that was the important thing as we went through today. It was good tempo. The guys again, it was a good first step to getting things going.
Kansas City Monarchs are back on the baseball field. This is no joke. Savannah Rudisell tells us about a little rebranding.
This name change is more than just a different uniform. It's a bridge between the past and the present. The Negro Leagues Baseball Museum shared ownership of the Monarchs name to get it out of the display case and onto the field.
Of several different uniforms.
President of the museum, Bob Kendrick, says this is the way to make history relevant.
When those young players put on those Monarch pinstripes, the legacy of Satchel Paige and Buck O'Neill, Hilton Smith, they play on.
The name connects the players as well as the two Kansas Cities. The team plays at the stadium in KCK, and part of the proceeds will help sustain the museum in KC-Mo.
So Kansas City, Kansas, we are honored to be a part of your efforts to celebrate the glory of these athletes.
New Monarchs team owner Mark Brandmeier says he's excited to unite the two through the values and the history of the Negro Leagues.
Just such an iconic brand here in Kansas City, and so we're just thrilled to be able to carry on that legacy.
Now the pressure is on to uphold the winning record and the iconic name.
Welcome your Kansas City Monarchs.
Be right back with the latest unemployment report and a look at the president's economic plan when we return.
President Biden came into office facing multiple crises. On Thursday, his first full day in office, President Biden focused on the health crisis and the coronavirus pandemic, signing numerous executive actions. More executive actions are coming from the president today, this time focusing on the economic crisis facing the country. Jeremy Diamond reports.
After unveiling a national strategy to combat the pandemic, today President Biden turning to the economic crisis it has wrought. Biden will sign 2 more executive orders today, one to help people who are unemployed or struggling to buy food, the second to protect federal workers and contractors. This will set into motion a future executive order, which will require federal contractors to pay a $15 minimum wage and provide emergency paid leave. Mirroring the nationwide minimum wage increase Biden is seeking as part of his $1.9 trillion relief package.
His preference and priority is a bipartisan package and working with members of both parties to come to agreement. This crisis is dire and it requires immediate action, and we hope and expect members of both parties to work together to do that.
Few congressional Republicans have signed on to Biden's proposal, but House Democrats say they want to pass the president's bill as quickly as possible.
It's what the people need. What the country needs to crush the virus, put money in the pockets of the American people, and honor our heroes.
Biden used his first full day in office Thursday to unveil a national strategy to get the pandemic under control.
We didn't get into this mess overnight. It's going to take months for us to turn things around. But let me be equally clear. We will get through this.
Releasing a nearly 200-page plan and signing 10 executive actions. Among them, using the Defense Production Act to increase supplies for vaccines and testing, ramp up production of PPE, and extending mask requirements for interstate travel on buses, planes, and trains.
Our national plan launches a full-scale wartime effort to address the supply shortages by ramping up production and protective equipment, syringes, needles, you name it. And when I say wartime, people kind of look at me like wartime. Well, as I said last night, 400,000 Americans have died.
And when pressed about whether his goal of 100 million shots in his first 100 days was enough, Biden giving this answer.
Come on, give me a break, man. That's a good start, 100 million.
Dr. Anthony Fauci noting the United States is in a very serious situation, but also hopeful the new administration will help regain the public's trust.
The idea that you can get up here and talk about what you know, what the evidence, what the science is, and know that's it. Let the science speak. It is somewhat of a liberating feeling.
The jobs crisis continued last week. The U.S. Labor Department reported yesterday 900,000 Americans filed for unemployment benefits for the first time. That was on a seasonally adjusted basis. The department also said nearly 424,000 Americans applied for pandemic unemployment assistance, which provides aid for self-employed or gig workers. Added together, first-time claims totaled 1.4 million last week. Still to come, new safety tech for bikers, airbags mixed with jeans. We'll explain in our What the Tech when we come back. It's time for What the Tech. Parler will not be hosted on Amazon's web services anytime soon. A federal judge denied the social media company's request for a court order that would force Amazon to host it again. Amazon kicked Parler off its cloud hosting service earlier this month. The retail giant claimed Parler, which has many users associated with the far right, did not do enough to remove instances of incitement from its site. Amazon is not alone. At least 6 other data companies have refused to host Parler. The social media platform appeared back online Sunday afternoon with a message from its CEO reading, "Hello world, is this thing on?" It's not clear which company is providing the servers to run it. The new ruling doesn't end Parler's litigation against Amazon. Well, a new social media app is gaining popularity, promising data privacy. MeWe. I guess that's how you pronounce it. It sees a surge in downloads over the last several weeks. The app, calling itself the anti-Facebook, added 2.5 million users just last week. Overall, they now have 16 million users, half of which live outside the United States. A spokesperson for Mew says the app offers features people love, including no ads, no targeting, and no newsfeed manipulation. The app boasts that users have control over their interaction and privacy settings, and that they do not sell or share data with advertisers. Well, Google says it will block its own search engine to Australian users if it has to pay media companies for use of their content. The tech giant is locked in a battle over news content in search results. Australia's government wants Google to have to negotiate payments with local publishers and broadcasters for any content that's included in search results or news feeds. Google is now threatening to block the search option for Australians if those new codes are enforced. The country's prime minister has given a stern response, reminding the tech company who calls the shots. Well, if you know any bikers, you already know they don't wear leather to look cool. They do it to protect themselves. Now, motorcycle safety may be about to take a leap forward with a new article of clothing. Meet Airbag Jeans. These pants have concealed airbags inside the legs. Riders tether them to their bikes, and if they fall, the airbags are triggered and filled with compressed air. Unlike the airbags in cars, these can be deflated and used again multiple times. That's nice. The inventor of the Airbag Jeans hopes to bring them to market next year.
It reminds me of that story we did, I don't know if it was this week or last week, where the guy caught in the avalanche had the airbag with him.
Yeah.
You know,
he had
remember the one I'm talking about?
He used he knew
like an
airbag parachute type thing to help slow him down. Yeah.
Right.
Keep him above.
That makes perfect sense. Hey,
Yeah, that's cool.
So I got to make fun of myself here for a second, okay? You were talking about the new social media site, and I didn't know if it was Mew or MeWe.
I didn't know either.
No, I'm making fun of myself.
Is it MeWe?
I'm making fun of myself.
I called it Mew.
So I walked in the control room while you were doing the story, and I simply yelled, "Hey, young kids, is it Mew or MeWe?" And they laughed at me, and they think it's MeWe. That's not on you. I'm making fun of myself when I do this. I was like, okay. From henceforth known on the Fox 14
I guess
morning
MeWe
show.
makes sense.
No, you and I will refer to it as Mew.
Mew.
No, that's straight off of Super Troopers. Mew. Did you say Mew?
I keep having this visual thought. I'm wondering if these Airbag Jeans have to be tethered to the bike in order to trigger the blowing up of it, or can you just be like walking down the street and all of a sudden hit a button and just like my pants just blew up. Yeah.
It reminds me of my high school basketball days when we had just show my age here, people
pants,
that I don't even know like what websites are called. When we had the button downs, you know, and you come in off the bench, and when coach called your name, the buttons came off.
It was like a strip show on the basketball court.
Yeah, straight. We look like the 1976 Indiana Hoosiers, folks.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Skywatch Storm Tracker clears the bell. 7-day forecast has us up into the 40s today. Sunshine. That's why we're goofing off. It's a Friday. We got no concerns. Don't worry about anything until Saturday night into Sunday. Cold front. Possibility of snow on Wednesday. That's going to stay as rain on Sunday. Finish this up right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. A new Cox hospital will open in Monette, Missouri, replacing the old one, which was built in 1953. Construction began on the new $42 million hospital in May of 2019. Hospital plans to begin moving patients in today. This morning, the Senate plans to hold a confirmation vote on President Biden's pick for Defense Secretary, retired Army General Lloyd Austin. If confirmed, Austin would be the first African American to lead the Pentagon. President Biden's first confirmed cabinet nominee, Avril Haines, was sworn in Thursday as Director of National Intelligence. The President's chief medical advisor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, returns to the White House briefing room. Dr. Fauci is warning that new and more contagious variants of the coronavirus could soon lead it to spread even faster in the U.S., potentially leading to even more hospitalizations and deaths. Let's check in with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
It is chilly outside. So we've got wind chills right now as low as 17 in Independence, 19 in Neodesha. A little bit better when you get into southwest Missouri, but still mid-20s. But here's the great thing. It is such a beautiful Friday morning. The sun is out. It's absolutely gorgeous. Get outside, enjoy some fresh air. Let's head into the weekend on a positive note here. We're going to have temperatures in the mid to high 40s for the next consecutive days. Even on Sunday, even when the rain gets here, we're still going to be able to make it up into the 50s and enjoy this because we got some big changes here coming at the end of January and into February.
All right. Thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning.
I thought you were going to make a joke about Mew.
Or mittens.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend. We'll be back with more news and weather at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.